Welcome to Brave with Lisa. This space is designed to inspire, champion, and equip you to bravely walk in that unique rhythm of grace and calling that God has designed just for you. I'm so excited you're joining us today. Welcome to Brave with Lisa. I'm your host, Lisa Bruton, and today we have Sam Childers, and I'm so excited to have him with us today. He's also known as the Machine Gun Preacher, and Sam's got a pretty amazing story about how God's really led him over to Africa and just the incredible impact he's had, particularly on children over there. So welcome, Sam.
Hey, good to be here.
So great to have you. Sam, could you tell us a bit about, I guess, what you're doing right now and, a bit about Angels of East Africa and...
Right. It all started a number of years ago with orphanages. And then God spoke to me and said, if you're just going to start another orphanage, why don't you stay home? And I didn't quite understand that. But in a third world country, if you're in an orphanage, most orphanages, you have to leave at 15 years old. If you make it to 16, it's a miracle. And most of those children, more than 70%, end up in prostitution. They end up dying of diseases. They might be murdered, violence, AIDS. But so we started a number of years ago teaching a skill and a trade. And I never dreamed, and I'm sure you might not even realize this unless you watch me faithfully on Facebook. We started with one restaurant, and it really took off. We had over 200 young people over the years at that restaurant that learned how to be a waitress, a waiter, prep cook, a chef. But it really took off. So I seen it was working, so we started doing more. I bought a commercial farm in northern Uganda. And it was only like 200 acres, and now it's over 1,000 acres.
Wow.
And it's doing unbelievable things. So we went from it to opening up a truck stop. It started out at 10 acres, the truck stop. It's over 60 acres now. Excuse me. It's one of the largest American-style truck stops in East Africa. But through that and through some other businesses, we now work about 580 people a day on a payroll. So our big thing is still rescuing children, still having orphanages, still doing feeding programs. But the big thing is teaching skills and trades to young people. And we got unbelievable stories over the years, you know.
I bet you do. I bet you do. So you said it started with rescuing children and then orphanages, and it's amazing how God kind of starts here and then he keeps building, right? Can you tell us about when you first started? You said you were rescuing children.
Yeah,
how did that come about?
I started supporting organizations in Africa. Excuse me. I didn't really want to go to Africa. So I started putting money into Africa probably in 94, 95, 96. I really didn't want to go to Africa. So I started putting thousands of dollars into Africa. I was a businessman, and I kind of thought I could buy my way out of it. So finally in 1998, I went on a mission trip, and it was really different back then. There was a serious war going on, and I found myself as a weekend missionary in the middle of a war zone.
Wow.
And I never planned on that, you know. But anyways, that's when we started rescuing children. For about the first 10 years, I was mainly in war all the time. And I'm still in war. I'm getting old, you know, I'm 60 years old now. I thought I was done with war, but I just started in Congo now. So I guess God just wants to keep me in an active area. It keeps me on my toes, I guess.
Keeps you young, hey?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't feel too young anymore.
Wow. And so as you were, I guess you went over in 98 and you found yourself in, you know, like you said, a weekend missionary in a war zone. Yeah. Was God speaking to you then? Was something happening in your heart?
Yeah, God spoke to me to go to Africa. And what was really so strange when I went to Africa and I knew I was to be there, it
Mm.
was like he stopped talking to me for a number of years,
Wow.
and it was like I heard him say go, and then he just kind of stopped talking. But everybody else that knew me was saying, Sam, you need to come home. You need to do this. You need to do that. Everyone's giving me orders.
Mm.
But yet everyone knew that God called me to Africa. And
Mm.
I even said this to people. I said, listen, all of you agreed that God called me to Africa. And now you guys are telling me to come home. And I heard him say go, but I didn't hear him say come home.
Yeah.
So I literally just kept doing the work, and it cost me a lot. I had some family issues over it, but I never stopped, and they ended up making a movie of my life and everything, and documentary. But now they're getting ready to do another documentary. They're getting ready to do another movie. The name of part two will probably be Never Stop.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that older people need to look at, and not just older people, middle-aged people, is we need to get an attitude when God calls us to do something, never stop.
Mm.
And I believe I'm finally at that place in life where I'm kind of living the dream. But I'm still out there trying to make more money, trying to bring in more money, because the work has got so massive. We feed over 10,000 meals a day. I don't know if you've been watching what's happening in East Africa, but I challenge everyone to Google East Africa.
Mm.
Now, I'm only talking about East Africa, not all of Africa.
Yeah.
They say by the end of 2023, there'll be nearly 50 million people experience starvation.
Mm.
Now, by the end of 2023, and this is UNICEF and a lot of World Food Program, a lot of big organizations, which we might not like what they do, but they are pretty good on looking into the future, what's happening. They say that 28 million people will die of starvation. So the passion in my heart for the children is stronger than it's ever been.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get a little upset, you get a little disgusted, because you see, especially in America, you see people putting a lot of money into a little league ball game. And which, listen, I believe that. Now, I don't want no one to get upset with me. I believe in little league ball games. But I mean, come on, do we have to have new gloves, new bats? Do we have to have new uniforms, new shoes
Mm.
every year, where we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on one little league ball game, when there's children dying? So
Yeah.
maybe I just got a different passion, but I do know, and I do challenge people around the world, look into what's happening.
Mm.
COVID really knocked many countries around, especially third world countries. And then the war in Ukraine, everyone's talking Ukraine. Well, I challenge the world. Is it really the war you care about, or is it economy that we care about?
Mm.
When you mention Ukraine and the US, right after it, they start talking gas prices and
Yeah.
cooking oil prices. But there's several wars going on in Africa right now that the world don't even hear of. I've been speaking this here in meetings.
Yeah.
There's a war going on in Ethiopia the past couple of years. There's been 5.5 million people displaced.
Mm.
Ukraine, I believe right now to date is only like 3.2 million people displaced. But we
Mm.
don't hear about Ethiopia. There was over 3,000 children under the age of 10 years old that have been murdered in
Mm.
Ethiopia the past 2 years. We don't hear nothing about
No, we
Ethiopia.
don't.
But yet, right now, as of the end of June of this year, and now listen, if there's one child that dies, it's a big problem to me.
Mm.
But there was only 260 children that died in Ukraine at the end of
Mm.
June. So
Mm.
I challenge the world, look at what we're looking at right now. Are we concerned about war in Ukraine, or are we just concerned about economy?
Yeah, it's a good challenge too, right?
Yeah.
Because it's what the media portrays.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're saying that's a long time to carry a passion as well, Sam, because I see people start with things, and I'm guilty of it too. I'll start with something, but then my passion shifts and I'll go into something else. But to carry that passion for the children, and for it to, like you said, it feels even stronger than ever before.
Right.
How do you
believe that it's definitely a God thing, but at the same time, I believe that that's how we all should be as humans. You know, if God puts something on our heart, it shouldn't go away. It should get stronger. You know, sometimes I think, okay, because of my age, I wished he would kind of lighten up a little bit, you know, but he doesn't. He just seems like he puts more on me. You know, the war that I'm in now in Congo. I just started in Congo the past 6 months. And we're talking another war that's about 7 million people displaced.
Wow.
Over 100,000 people murdered in the streets, women, children, and elderly, you know. And I asked God, like 6 months ago, when he was really pushing this on me, well, almost a year ago, he brought it to my attention. And then I was kind of dodging the bullet, you know. I didn't really want to go. I didn't want to get involved. And I kept saying, well, God, why me, you know? And God made it clear, because I'm seasoned. And I think people, it doesn't matter if you're an Australian or American or where you live in the world, you know, when God starts something, he's not the one that quits. I think we are, you know.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And I think that people, if they look into my life, they can see that it's not just the passion, it's the calling that God put there. And that's why they're talking another movie, you know, Machine Gun Preacher, you know.
So great. Do you find those, Sam, because I can only imagine the things that you have seen, does it get weighty on your heart?
Yeah, but you know, I speak in the US to a lot of soldiers, you know, when they come back, they're messed up. What's it called? The STD or whatever they get from war. Yeah. And I think the reason that it hasn't affected me is because I went into the war with Jesus.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of the young men, a lot of the young women that get that go to the armed services, and they go and they end up having a lot of after effects from the war. I think it's because they didn't go into the war with Jesus, you know, so it makes a big difference, you know. So I don't try to think about what I have done, or I don't try to think about what I've seen. I try to concentrate on what I still need to do.
Got you.
Yeah.
So I can only imagine too, Sam, that you've experienced some or seen some pretty amazing miracles. Do you have a story that you can share?
Yeah, well, you know, I don't like to look at the things that I've done. Like I said to you earlier there, a few minutes or seconds ago, I try to concentrate on what I need to do, you know. So I think the big thing right now that I want the world to know is what's happening as far as starvation, what's happening as far as the children that are dying. And I think East Africa is a place that we need to really concentrate on. And it's not that I'm there. You know, how many places, and go to Google. I got to say, I love Google. You know, if you want to know something, you can find the information. But how many countries in the world are they saying that 28 million people is going to die of starvation? So I think everyone in the world right now, we need to look into East Africa and look at what we can do, you know. So I don't like to think back of the good things that I've done. I want to concentrate on what I need to keep doing. We were, before COVID, we were feeding over 14,000 meals a day. But about 4,000 of those meals were older people. So we didn't cut back on any children that we were feeding. But now we're feeding a little over 10,000 meals again. But I'd love to see that double. You know? So I don't want to concentrate on what I've done. I want to concentrate on the future.
Yeah.
And, Yeah, so those are things that I need to do. I'm in the middle right now of building some more dorms to put children in. Uh, the children that we'll be rescuing and taking in out of Congo, they're children of war that was really messed up by Islamic teaching.
Yeah.
So you can't put those children in a normal orphanage.
Yeah.
So I gotta build dormitories at my farm. I gotta build dormitories at my truck stop because it's like 60 acres. I gotta keep these children will be around young adults, because of what they have done,
Yeah. And
So
what
I
they've
gotta I
seen.
got a lot of things I gotta think about for the future. I don't really want to think about the past.
Yeah, I guess that makes total sense. I guess for me, I've heard, and I guess when I'm going to go do something new, and do something risky or something that is of a cost, or I love to think about, well, what's God done in the past, because he's going to do something better in the future. So I guess
Yeah,
that's why I
yeah,
like to look back and just see what he's
yeah.
done. But
Well,
how,
a lot of things in this new war. I mean, I've been basically supporting Africa, going to Africa 27 years now. And back in the Coney War, it was just like grab your gun and go save children.
yeah.
But now, I mean, you got to work with the government officials. They want to know what you're going to be doing. I had to do, like a memorandum of understanding, telling them, the plan for the children. And the first thing you have to do with these children now, when you rescue them, is you got to do a mental evaluation on them.
Yeah.
And then every 3 months, you got to do another mental evaluation. And then after 1 year of working with them and teaching them, then we'll look, can they get back around other children? But there's even more than that. I had to hire a scholar in the Quran, but now
Okay.
born again, because they were taught through the Quran
Wow. Yes.
how to murder and kill, and that it was okay, and you're going to be blessed for harming these people and taking a life. So there's a lot of different things going on now,
Yeah. And there'd be different
and I'm too old
strategies.
to learn all that. So I just hire the right people to come in, Yeah.
And do you find, is that hard to find the right person, or do you find God really brings them at the right time?
No, I've I've kind of always said, if you want to be successful, you need to hang around and communicate with successful people. So it seems like every time that I get to a point that I need somebody with a special gifting, God always sets me up to call the right person, So I knew a pastor inside of Uganda, one of the biggest mega churches in Uganda. And I knew that he had a lot of Muslims that came to his church that are now born again. So
Yeah.
I was able to get the right person, because if you
Amazing.
get the wrong person, you didn't do anything for the children.
Yeah. Yeah. I could imagine you'd have to be really intentional as to who came in and spoke into the children's lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's incredible. So how can people just, everyday people support what you're doing, or just be a part of what's happening over there?
I think the biggest thing is, I don't try to ever tell people that our organization is the number one, support us. I don't want to
Yeah.
say that. What I will say is, pray about where God wants you to be, where God wants you to work and help. And then look into that area and find a good organization. And kind of the thing that I have always said for 2.5 decades is, ask the organization questions. And if they don't want to answer the deep questions, especially with money, don't support them. Now, we definitely need support. I mean, we have a lot of big things that we're trying to do with feeding programs. We have a project called the Bush Kids Project that, out of all the years I've been in Africa, we have never done a project on this scale.
Yeah,
This
right.
project's been going on now 26 months. We have went 17 times into the field. We try to go every month. But the Bush Kid Project, we go with doctors, we go with nurses, we go and stuff with 4-wheel drives, a blood lab, security. we go deep into the bush and we work with children that have malaria, bacteria infections, and we deworm every child. So this project is literally saving children. It started out hundreds of children. Now it's thousands of children. So we have that project going on. We have our feeding projects going on. We're always drilling wells. We've drilled over 50 wells over the years, so we need people that want to save lives,
Yeah.
And I think the big thing with our organization, it doesn't matter where you are around the world. You can be anywhere around the world, and you don't need to put your feet on the ground. You can send your money,
Yeah.
So yes, we are wanting people to support us. We are a legit nonprofit in America. And what I mean by that, we are a 501c3 organization. And nowadays you can Google those organizations and the government tells you if they are worth supporting or not.
Wow.
And we are an NGO in Uganda as well, and we have a few offices other places around the world as well, so find an organization that you can ask financial questions, how much on a dollar they spend in the field. Find one where the leader is still in the field, Like I just bought a brand new house inside of Kampala. I live full time there. Okay. I am a full-time missionary. But if you asked my wife or people that knows me, where's Sam? They'll tell you I'm never around my new house. I'm always in the bush,
Yeah.
So find somebody that the leader, the founder, one of the directors, the president of the organization, the main people of the organization, are they still working in the field? Because that makes a big difference, and I'm 60 now. I just turned 60 years old and I'm still in the field,
Yeah, that's incredible. And I love those tips too. It is important to do your research and find out more about the organizations.
Yeah.
So Sam, how can people follow along with what you do?
You can follow us on Facebook. Now Samuel Childers Facebook. That is a private Facebook site, and I can only have 5,000 people. But then you can go to the Sam Childers, the real machine gun preacher, or just plain Sam Childers. So there's 3 Facebook sites. There's usually postings. We try to post at least 2 posts every week on all those sites. Now, even on my personal site that I do all my own posting, even if I don't friend you, because I can only have 5,000 friends, you can still follow me on that site. So we got a few 100,000 people that follow us. So get on there and follow us. If everybody, or even half the people that would follow me right now, if they would only give $1 a month, okay, oh Lord, all of our projects would be going on, and we wouldn't be, always counting money and seeing what we can do now, So I've always said it's not about a few people giving a lot of money. It's about a lot of people giving a little bit, So I challenge people, look to what we're doing and get in there and help us,
Love it. Oh, I have one more question for you, Sam. I can only imagine that you have big dreams, like, the projects that you're doing now. I'm sure you can already see like 10 steps ahead and where you want to go.
Yeah.
How do you know when it's time to activate and begin the next project?
Well, we have a lot of projects going on right now. And the other thing that you didn't really ask me is what happens when God takes me out of the world, So we have already set the organization up where there's young people that's already going, they're in the office now. And whenever I decide to set back or God decides to take me out, the organization is set up to keep going on,
Yeah, right.
Now, what projects do we have? I really see now, I am a true believer, so I believe Jesus Christ is first in everything. But if you really want to change a nation, okay, a lot of people think it's all about going to Africa, Uganda, and preaching the gospel. People there can preach the gospel to us. Okay? But what I see that is changing a nation is creating jobs. And over the years, especially the past 9 years, we have been creating jobs, and it's changing the nation. You know, if you can teach someone a skill and a trade, that's changing a nation. So we have a strip mall that, and I call it a strip mall. What do you call it here in Aussie land?
I'm not sure.
Like a little shopping center mall, you know what I mean?
Yeah, shopping center. Yes.
So we call it in America a strip mall. And so we're building one of those now. Just that strip mall will put on about 25 more people. We're getting ready to build a big hotel. Now we own some hotels now.
Yes.
And this is all up near the National Game Park, you know, for looking at the animals.
Oh, yes.
So we're getting ready to build a big hotel there now. That hotel will put on almost another 60 people on the payroll. You know, so we have 580 people on a payroll now. We have unbelievable stories of young girls that learned how to make Spanish omelets and eggs Benedict and French toast, and they have opened their own restaurants.
Oh, so great.
We just had another young girl that we brought from a village and worked for me 3 years. She gave a notice and she opened up another restaurant of her own, you know. So we have young ladies that are working in 4-star hotels, you know, in East Africa. We have men that started their own farms, you know. So teaching a skill and a trade does change nations. So the plans are already, I mean, we got projects in the plans all the way up to 2025 now.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. So we have a lot of things going on, but I do want to challenge the people. You can go to machinegunpreacher.org. That's you know, everyone say, why Machine Gun Preacher? You don't forget that name.
No,
you know?
you don't.
Any other website, you got to write it down, but you can just Google Machine Gun Preacher. You can get on there, you can make a donation, and I want to tell everyone, we are changing a nation. We got projects deep into the bush. We've drilled over 50 wells over the years. We've repaired more than 36 wells. We're saving children to this day, and we're educating them. We built 7 schools over the years. We still got an 8th school that has been in the works for a while, but we just haven't started it. But we got a lot of projects going on, and I encourage everyone out there, jump on board and help us. Any questions, call the office, email the office, and you can get a hold of me. You know, there's a lot of people, I got phone numbers that I hand out if people want to call me, you know, so we need your help.
Yeah, absolutely. Sam, it's been so good having you on here, and just thank you for your time. I always get inspired when I hear you speak, just with your passion and just what God's doing and how you continue to just move forward, and you don't dream little, you dream big with him. And I just love it. You are saving so many people's lives and changing generations and impacting a nation. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
and
really
say hello
appreciate
to the whole family, and God bless you.
I will. Thank you. God bless you.
Thanks for joining me on Brave with Lisa. I hope that it has inspired or impacted you in a small or large way. Feel free to comment, to subscribe, and share with some friends. And please join us next week on another conversation we will have here on this channel on Brave with Lisa.